Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating it's Tuesday, June 12th, 2018. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from all other dimensions, as long as the souls are already living by the Search for Truth rules given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us, already living by the rules. And those rules include contributing more to completing the Search for Truth assignments given to the Search for Truth community by wiser minds above all of us than we as individuals take or use or borrow in Search for Truth resources. And we really strongly request, there's some maybe cellular presence speaking, we really strongly request that the incoming souls actually abide by those rules and to set a good example for the other souls. Please? Our foundational intention remains to do what is ours to do right now in all dimensions, to create worlds that work in all dimensions and for all categories of sentience. The data very clearly showing that corruption is an enormous problem in all the dimensions inside the contaminated zone, including, of course, ground zero, but including many, many other dimensions as well. We have not found a dimension inside of the contaminated zone in which corruption is not a problem.
That's true.
What now to break the cycles of corruption in all dimensions, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do? What now? Keep pumping up dead children from the depths, because that upward flow is, nothing's going to happen without that upward flow.
That's
and
true.
By doing something to help others, we somehow make things better in some way for this effort. We can just get these poor dead children up and out of here and ask, what now to break the cycles of corruption in all dimensions? We can bifurcate, all of us who really want to break the cycles of corruption in all dimensions, to the Search for Truth central axis, all others flung away. We can also pump up the dead children from the depths, and in addition to that, ask up, what now in order to break the cycles of corruption in all dimensions, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do? What now? Does anything matter more than survival of the truth?
That helps to open up the top of the pillar a little bit.
Does anything matter more than survival of the truth? Do you hear any answer?
No, I don't. It just feels like the top of the pillar is being crunched or curled in.
Yeah. They want us to be quiet and stop asking that very inconvenient question. We can crunch and juice and burn corruption in the Search for Truth central axis in ourselves.
That's true.
Crunching and juicing and burning corruption with the intent to evacuate the dead children from the even deeper, denser dimensions. Use the flame to create steam to propel them upward. We can do that.
That's true.
Crunching and juicing and burning corruption in ourselves, in the Search for Truth central axis, in our inner worlds, and in all who choose to take up residence in these lives. And again, somebody's saying, we remind you that you don't need to feel constrained to be here. To these souls who are having a problem with working to break the cycles of corruption, if you don't want to be here, right, off you go. Move on down the road.
That's true.
You can go almost anywhere. They said, but where shall we go and what shall we do? You can go almost anywhere, actually. Very few people are working to break the cycles of corruption, as best we can tell. Yeah, go almost anywhere. The world's your oyster.
That's true.
Which is a saying that is sadly losing relevance as the oysters are being decimated.
That's true.
Along with the oceans and the skies and the soil. Friends, this is an era of collapse. It's really time to stop jockeying for position and stop taking positions and stop trying to prove we're right, and instead work together to solve the enormous problems that are facing everybody in these times, in these dimensions. It's collapse time. It's time to stop playing silly games.
That's true.
What now? To break the cycles of corruption in all dimensions. It's fascinating how they don't seem to be willing to break the cycles of corruption.
No,
it's
that's
as
true.
if they all think that their own personal situation is improved by having corruption be accepted as a form of activity, as a way of doing business.
That's what the feeling
as a way of
is.
living. It's like, well, I don't want to give up corruption because it helps me somehow.
Yeah, that's the feeling.
Maybe more bifurcating. All of us who really want to break the cycles of corruption to the search for truth's central axis, all others flung away.
That's
Again,
true.
we say to these souls, don't feel constrained to stay here. We collectives wish to work on breaking cycles of corruption. We're actually interested in this, and this is our inquiry that has, and somebody's asking why. Please look up. Please look up. Please look up. This is an assignment given to us. We're not generating these assignments. They're coming to us. So please look up. Please look up. See that waving hand up there? Hi. Why don't you ask that presence why we should work on breaking cycles of corruption? Look up. Look up. Look up. Please look up. Wow, we can bifurcate for all of us who really want to look up to wiser minds above and ask wiser minds above what now in order to accomplish anything of value, and then do what wiser minds above say to do. Or we could just grab them
and let's just
juice and burn and use their energy to propel dead children higher.
That feels really good.
Grab the channels and pull them up and cut them off and
That's
squeeze
really good.
out the goop that's in these channels that is, it's just not true.
And there's so much of it.
It's solid. It isn't going to work without breaking the cycles of corruption, I'm sure of that.
That's true.
And it isn't going to work without the nature realms. That's the message of the thumb.
That's
But there's kudzu right there in an area that we just finished clearing of vines, and
That's
there's kudzu
true.
going up a tree. Kudzu's a pretty serious invasive. Going up a tree again.
That's true.
What now? That's corruption because it's a plant that doesn't belong here, and it's plotting its triumphant return to supremacy in this
That's true.
area. That's why it's going up that tree.
Yeah, that's true.
So it can spread to other trees and cover the whole area again. We're not confused about that.
That's true.
What now? Maybe we can look up. Is there anybody up there? There isn't, though. There's nobody up there who's interested in breaking the cycles of corruption.
No, and it's true what someone was saying earlier, that everybody up there seems to think corruption will help them somehow.
Let's live stream this up to the videographers as high up as we can find. I see some red dots.
I see red dots.
Friends, can you see this? I see waving hands. Hi. Do you see those waving hands up by the red dot?
I see waving hands.
Hi. There you go. Everybody down here thinks that corruption benefits them. Wow. What now? What now? What now?
Nobody's arguing that they seem to think corruption benefits them.
Yeah. I think we're just too short.
Yeah.
This has got to be that we're just too
Too
short.
short.
Let's just start stretching longer. That is up. We can verify again which way is up and which way is forward. And stretch longer. I think we're just too
Too
short.
short.
Which way is up? That's up.
That's up.
Which way is forward? Right about there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just too short. We stretch longer. Possibly what happens is that with a scary assignment like breaking cycles of corruption, the souls constrict or contract, as we all do when scary assignments come in, and then as a collective the pillar is getting short, and then suddenly we can't reach out above the poison clouds anymore. It's possible.
That's true.
You can just grab the pillar and stretch long in both directions and say, just hypothetically, if we were going to do something to break the cycles of corruption, or if someone else were going to do something to break the cycles of corruption, what might that other person do? Just take an academic interest in the question, just as a theoretical exercise. Theoretically, if someone else had the assignment to break cycles of corruption, how might they go about it? That's a little better, more airflow.
It's a little clearing.
Less constriction.
That's true.
Okay. How might one go about breaking cycles of corruption? They're saying, well, you've got to stop rewarding corrupt behavior. Yes,
that is what they said.
That would be essential. We would have to stop rewarding corrupt behavior.
That's true.
And now I see nodding heads and thoughtful looks.
I see thoughtful looks.
Yes. It's like, oh, interesting. Well, we would have to stop that. What else would have to be done? We'd have to stop punishing whistleblowers.
That's true.
That would have to stop.
That's true.
We'd have to stop rewarding corruption and stop punishing whistleblowing against corruption. Those two things would have to stop.
That's true.
What else? What else? If some other presences had the assignment to break cycles of corruption in all dimensions, what would be things that they would need to do? Well, now the pillar is opening up.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it was just fear. Hello, my old friend
fear.
Reacting poorly to fear.
That's super true.
Because there's nothing wrong with being afraid. There's just the error comes in how we respond to fear.
That's true.
Just stretch longer. Say, what now? I do know something. I know that theoretical conversations are useful extremely fleetingly.
Yeah.
They help thought processes get unstuck, but it's essential to go past theoretical talk into, well, let's run an experiment and see what happens. Not saying that we are actually working to solve problems of corruption, but if we were going to solve problems of corruption, we would have to stop rewarding corrupt behavior.
That's true.
And how might we go about that? And then to just experiment, because until we actually try it, we don't know whether or not that's a good idea or a bad idea.
Yes, that's true.
So we could all agree to find some corrupt behavior that we're rewarding and to experiment with not rewarding it and see what happens. And what we could expect is that the corrupt presence who we've been rewarding will get grumpy about not being rewarded and maybe stomp around a little bit.
That's
it does
true.
happen. Tantrums should be expected.
That's true.
For whom is this message, and why do you ask? I think we're wrapping close.
Wow, that's very head clearing. Oh, finally there's opening in that.
Yeah. For whom is the message?
Why do you ask?